All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our next edition of the Innovation Moment, and specifically within that, Spotlight on Americas with Tom Lunabos.
Good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, right? Depending on where people are and what time of the day they view this. So, joining us today is, and I'll have Tom introduce the CEO of this great company, but a quick starter context on it. Post COVID, we've gone into a hybrid world. And in this hybrid world, expectation of studio production, content generation, virtual production, user experience, it's all at the peak of a massive transformation. And that's the reason, Tom, it would be gracious for you to please introduce our host today, our guest today, I'm sorry, for our Spotlight on Americas.
Thanks, Shivani, and welcome to everybody this morning. I'm really excited to introduce you to Tim. I got introduced to Tim about a year ago through Jason Warnke, who at the time was in our CIO's offices and now is working with Jill and our marketing teams. And Jason has a great eye for technologies and innovation and people. And I think Tim is one of the great people in tech right now. What intrigued me, Tim, and welcome, Tim, to the Innovation Moment, and with Shivani and I, it's really great to have you here. What struck me right away is just what Shivani said. You know, with COVID, we're all now in house and we can't get out, and this whole idea of content creation. And it's really all about the experience and how do you create an immersive experience. And so tell the audience a little bit of what View does and why you started it, and let's start with just some general background on what you do.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me here today. View is a technology company that started during the pandemic, and myself, I come from a background of being a storyteller. I created a commercial production company that I ran for 15 years, and when I saw the capabilities that were right around the corner with generative AI, with virtual production, and with all of these new creative technologies converging, I thought, man, what an incredible time to be a creative. And at View, what we really believe in is content, the speed of thought. You know, there's millions of languages around the world, but the most impressive language is the visual language, because it's just like the human experience. We can all talk visually. And so even IKEA, which has the most complicated furniture in the world, you know, they print their instructions in one language, and that's visual language. And so generative AI is now allowing us all to be visual artists, because we can prompt in through natural language and create images and videos on the back end. And so that's something we're really intrigued in, is how can we take an idea and make it into its visual form as fast as possible? And then how do we democratize this technology so everyone has an opportunity to be a storyteller? And so those are two key principles that we're really excited about, and happy to be partnering with Accenture to help produce that.
Well, I particularly love the generative AI play. Obviously, it's the hot button today, but when we invested into you over about a year ago, or over the last 6 months or so, it was beginning to emerge. But your ability to create content is really extraordinary, and we'll need to show the audience the visuals here. But how exactly are you doing it? Beyond the generative AI aspect, you're creating immersive engagements. I remember the Super Bowl commercials over the last couple of years have been produced inside your studios because of that immersive experience. What makes it so different?
Well, for the past 40 years, we've been using a technology called green screen. And the way green screen works is you go into a big room, paint all the walls green, and everyone imagines what's going to be in the background. And hopefully you have a really good editor and you can bring that to life. But that technology is missing something, and that is that the virtual background isn't actually there. It's just a color on a wall. And so with the technology we're using, virtual production, we use large format immersive LED screens, and you get to see the background in real time. And this is exciting because to the view of the camera, it's less sensitive than your eye, so it can't actually distinguish what's real and what's not real. And so as people stand in front of Mount Everest or the Eiffel Tower, it really looks like they're there. And so as a creative, the best thing in the world is to dream something up and be able to see it right away. And you can do that with this tech. And so yeah, we've been using it for about 3 years now. I've had the opportunity to make some Super Bowl commercials, feature films, and all kind of content on it. And now we're starting to see there's even demand for events that people want to be inside of places that they can never travel to. And so I think there's just endless use cases for this technology that are just continuing to grow.
Yeah, I think about retail. It's really reimagining retail of how you introduce your products into the world in the perfect environment. I remember watching cars driving through jungles that weren't really jungles; they were your screens behind it. I'm a little surprised, by the way, that you don't have Mount Everest behind you right now on this podcast, because the visualizations for all of you are so fantastic and so unique. And you've got studios around the world, correct?
Yep, yep. We started here in Tampa Bay, and that was where my production company was based. But shortly after opening that, there was just demand to keep growing around North America and now into the UK and Canada. And so our main corporate studios are in Las Vegas, Nashville, Orlando, and Tampa. But we have 24 affiliate studios all over the world.
Well, CES is coming up around the corner, so you're going to be pretty active, I suspect, for that show. How do Accenture people get a hold of you? What's the perfect client for you? Is there a perfect client for you?
Well, it's been so incredible partnering with Accenture because there's a lot of use cases we've been able to use the studios for. One is just an imagining session to bring clients in, and instead of just putting post-it notes on the board and doing a thinking group session, we're able to really, in real time, put those ideas out and see what it looks like to do simulations using digital twins, and not just digital twins on a computer monitor, but at scale, to see a two-story building on a two-story screen. So that's been an incredible use case. But I think too, for Accenture's clients, we've been able to get into the conversations to help them not only on the production side but on the simulation side. And so I think those are two areas that we're seeing more and more demand for, and that we're excited to come to the table and help be a good partner to Accenture moving forward.
And what could be some of the, I love this, Tim, what could be some of the tactical advice that you would have, right, for either our Accenture folks or our clients in order to take that first step to engage you?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the first thing is reimagining, the way things are currently done. There is a structure for which engage a client, and this is somewhat a bit more whimsical of an idea to actually go into the simulation with the client, but it's so much more exciting to see the payoff in real time with them. And so I'd say if you have a client pitch, you have an idea you want to explore with the client, you have a piece of content that is just so far out there, it may not be something that your budget can attain. You can do that in the studio and for a fraction of the cost. And so those are areas that we see are perfect for our studios. And what's really cool too is they aren't confined to the buildings they live in. We travel with these quite a bit. So like Tom was mentioning, CES is right around the corner, and we have a 100-foot display that we're bringing to the show floor so people can experience this immersive technology hands-on. And so we're just excited about the different ways that Accenture will continue to dream up use cases. But I would say reach out to us if you have a crazy idea, because we have some crazy solutions to help.
I love the pop-up immersion. That's what I'm going to call it. It's pop-up immersion.
Yeah.
You're bringing into true view the old adage of a picture is worth 1,000 words. But the storytelling really starts with the visual and going forward. How far in advance should a client connect into you guys for an event or for a new product announcement or whatever they may be using for? Is this something that they can do? They need to think about 6 months ahead or 3 months ahead? What's the timing of all this?
I think people will be surprised to hear that a lot of our requests come within a matter of weeks. 2 or 3 weeks, we can be ready, to do a real live simulation. And so one of the things that we look for is, does this client already have some digital assets? You mentioned earlier about store of the future and store simulation. If you already have a digital twin, well, that's ripe for this environment because we're using game engine to play it back. And so, those kind of things in the past may have taken some time to load up on a VR headset and deploy, but now is becoming more and more real time. So as long as we have a couple of weeks in advance and have some direction on it, our team can get to work and be there to partner on the project.
Well, this is another, Shivani, this is another fantastic investment and really the future of how we present, how we tell our stories, how our clients will tell their stories to their consumers. So I'm very excited that View is part of our Spotlight portfolio and really excited for you, Tim, and all the future going forward. This is going to be a big year for View going forward. Shivani, any last words?
No, this is great. Same here. Looking forward to creating some new experiences with our clients. Thank you so much for joining us today, Tim.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, everybody. And hope to see you all in the spotlight in the future. Tim, all the best. Looking forward to the next 12 months.
All right, thank you.